Oh good, we're rolling low today. Love to see it. Oh no. Apprentices, before we begin reality again, behold the consequences of our previous meddling. You are currently in possession of 4 Echoes of Fate. Structures you have built has been a campfire circle, so that your camp is stable and safe. Minor threats hesitate to approach. A circle of beast command, where animals sense your authority, creature allies are easier to influence, and Steve, the donkey, gains advantage when interacting with beasts. Most recently you built the Beast Whisperer post. Wild creatures recognize you as non-hostile by default. Beasts are less likely to attack first. Taming attempts are easier. Nature entities are more willing to speak or listen. A new party member had also arrived to the caravan, Shirka's faithful crocodile companion, which she named Solomon. Currently, you have 2 relics in your possession. First, an unbound handle. Once per session, it allows you to open or reveal a hidden passage, a hidden secret, or a threshold. The second item in your possession is a keystone charm, a focused relic that stabilizes reality when used. It allows special narrative influence when it is invoked. You currently have a cosmic status of unverified entity, meaning predators test you instead of instantly attacking. Strange beings recognize you as unusual, and ancient forces are observing you. Some places react differently to your presence. Remember, Steve, your faithful donkey, is currently the Beast Ambassador. He is loyal and suspicious of everyone. You also have Nibbles, a tiny mimic who is chaotic but currently cooperative, and Solomon, an ancient crocodile companion of Shirka. They are calm, observant, and extremely dangerous. The world views you as no longer being curious, but it is paying attention to what you do and what you say. A quick rule reminder when we reach the end of our session today, young apprentices, is that you may build 1 upgrade per session if you possess enough echoes. And now, apprentices, let's see what notices you first today. The morning is calm, too calm. Solomon's heads lift. Steve freezes. Nibbles vanishes either under a crate or becomes a crate. You're not sure how many crates were there, but you did see Nibbles there moments ago. Shirka says quietly to you, "Something is wrong." The Beast Whisper post begins to hum, not softly but urgently. The animals are not approaching. They're fleeing. Birds erupt from a distant grass line. Deer bolt past your camp without even looking at you. Then the ground trembles. Once, twice, harder. The grass splits apart. Something massive forces its way toward the caravan, not stalking, but charging. A hulking creature bursts through the brush. A plated horror of muscle and bone, a cross between a boar and a stone golem, tusks cracked with old battle scars, hide layered in natural armor, eyes glowing with territorial fury. It slams its hooves into the dirt, steam pours from its nostrils, and Shirka says, "Territorial Titan Beast." Apprentices, this is not a hunter, this is a warden. It's not here to eat you. It's here because something marked as dangerous has entered its territory. That something is you. The beast lowers its head, and now it is up to you to make a decision as to what is going to take place next. You have some options. First option that you have is you can defend the caravan, form a position, and brace for the impact. The next option is you could let your new ally Solomon prove their powers. Another option, you could assert dominance using beast powers. So by using magic, you can attempt to sway it using the newfound item you created in your last session, or you can strike first. Your final option is that you can use one of your 2 relics and decide what happens. Cast your will. Asserting dominance is the first thought, and the second. I admire your confidence, and I question it. Also, it seems that the wilderness has sent you a supervisor. We've now a split vote, 50-50. Asserting dominance seems to gain ahead, and yet Solomon seems to be the choice now. Wizards, you were pouring in experience, and at the very last moment, dominance is the winner. So, attempting to assert your dominance over this beast, you're gonna go with not defense, not retreat, authority. One of you steps forward and chooses to speak in the language of the wild. The Titan beast roars and surges forward with its tusks lowered. Even the earth begins to crack beneath its weight. It's seconds from impact. You do not attack, you do not run, you declare for it to stop. The Beast Whisper post hums, and the circle of Beast Command even ignites faintly, and the air thickens with instinct, older than speech. Solomon lifts his head, not threatening, but judging what happens. Time to see what the world says. Let me know when to stop. Ooh, fair. Not necessarily great, but fair. So, right before the beast attacks, with the power that you have given this caravan using multiple echoes of your fate, the creature exhales hot steam, and its tusks scrape the earth, but it stops. It watches you, not angry, not calm, evaluating. You address it not as prey, not as a challenger, but as an equal. Silence. Long silence. Then, the Titan beast lowers its head slightly, not in submission, but acknowledgement. Shirka says after nodding, "Good, it hears you." The beast snorts once, hard, then stomps beside your camp, and the ground cracks. Something beneath the soil glows faintly. The Titan beast looks down at it, then back at you. Inside of your mind, you feel will presses against your thoughts. Not will, but an instinct translation. Not safe. It wasn't warning you about itself. It was warning you about what was buried beneath you. The beast takes 3 slow steps backwards, still watching, still respectful, but no longer interested in staying. Solomon rumbles low in his throat, not fear, but recognition. Shirka says, "Oh, that's not natural." You have successfully communicated and earned the beast's respect, as it did not attack you. It warned you. But something dangerous is buried near camp. For the diplomacy you took in standing your ground, you gain an echo of fate. The Titan beast turns and disappears into the tall grass. The ground where it stomped still glows faintly. Something beneath your camp is waking up. And with that, what do? You have options. You may choose to begin digging into whatever this danger was. You could ask Solomon to investigate it. You could move your entire camp and the caravan away from all of this. You could also use a relic, or you could let Steve decide. What could go wrong trusting a donkey to make life or death situation? Cast your will. Quickly, Steve became the main option, or to move the camp away. Ooh, a third runner-up to dig it up immediately. Chaos being sown. One must be chosen, and a 3-way split will not work. Pour your will in. Moments remain, or change your decision. Ooh, last moment, but you decided to dig it up. Of course you do. No caution. The ground warned you. The beast warned you. The world hinted that this would be a bad idea. And the apprentices dig anyway. The soil parts easily. Too easily. Not packed, not rooted, as if something beneath has been loosening it from below. Solomon shifts. A low rumble. Your hands strike something solid. Not stone and not metal. Smooth. Hold. You uncover it. The object is a buried sphere, about the size of a helmet, black as starless space, covered in faint lines that looks like cracked glass. The lines themselves glow, pulse. Then they fade away, then pulse again with light. Shirka says to y'all, "That's not buried. That is planted." The moment air touches the sphere, it reacts. Let us see what happens. And with that, we have fate again showing that it is ready to sour everything you've built, or reward you heavily for your cautiousness. Let me know when to stop fate. Stop revealed in 8. So unfortunate. You heed every warning and do nothing but the opposite. And fate has decided you should suffer for that. Unless you use your one ability. Do you wish to re-roll this for your once for our session? One wizard has started the fate again. It could always be worse. Let me know when to stop fate. It can be worse. A 9 to an 8 to a 7. Oh dear. After not heeding any warning, you allow this to take place. Oh, but one wizard says, "Hey DM, here's some bits." And another fate allowed to roll. Let me know when to stop this fate talks. You get 2 and choose the higher. It's probably best you get 2. And for the second, would it be your natural 20 coming? A new dice? I will take and replace it, yes. Let us remove 1. And I have now refreshed the dice. We will start again. Let me know when to stop us. We'll take the 10, won't we? It's the most natural of numbers. Let's see, in just short time we've been here so far, adventurers. You've had a 10, a 9, an 8, and a 7, and a 5. And yet nothing beyond that. C'est la vie. The 10 it is. The sphere in the ground pulses once. Soft light spreads across the surface. The cracks glow, not threateningly, not unstable, but curious. Inside it, something shifts. Not violently, but carefully. Then again, that tiny little voice inside your mind says, "What are you?" The sphere rolls toward you. Solomon does not attack it. That alone should tell you something. Shurka kneels beside it to inspect it. Her voice is calm and says, "It doesn't know what it is yet." Apprentices, apprentices, apprentices. You have not awoken a monster. You have a question in your hands. The presence inside does not seem to be hostile, but it is not harmless either. It is new. The sphere itself grows a little warmer, waiting, listening, learning. After Shurka takes some time to study this sphere, she says, "Don't be startled." She brushes more and more dirt away from the surface of the creature, the sphere, and more lines appear. Not cracks, actually, not fractures. Scales. The glow shifts across the scales, revealing patterns. Ancient, layered, and perfect. Little scales. Shurka says, that's not a relic. That is, well, how do we put it? That's an egg. It's a dragon egg. Inside of your mind, you hear that tiny voice. Dragon! The word itself just sounds unfamiliar to it, like it's tasting the idea for the first time. Solomon lowers himself, respectfully. Steve actually has wide eyes. Nibbles is quiet. Apprentices? You did not uncover treasure. You uncovered a dragon's egg. Steve isn't my true love. He's a dragoon in disguise. That's his baby. The shell glows, but not wild with energy, nor is it chaotic. It's ordered. After the light begins to settle on this sphere, you notice that it's not red like fire. It's not shocking with lightning. It's actually a metal. Shurka begins to clean more of it off and take it to a small bit of water. The light, when she comes back, you see, is shining, and the reason it was so difficult to tell what exactly kind of metal it was because it's shimmering silver. Shurka says, "Ah, well that's rare." The plates along the egg's surface shimmer like a polished frost. Thin veins of pale moonlight drift between the shell itself, like moving clouds. This is not a wild or evil dragon egg, as most dragons are. This is a silver dragon egg. Steve is still completely unmoving, not necessarily alarmed as you would expect, also not surprised. He is still in the way mountains are still. Then Steve lowers his head, a respectful bow. Shirka notices and her eyes narrow and she says, "Interesting." Inside of your mind's cold, bright, safe, the voice sounds calmer, more certain. Solomon has begun to settle directly next to the little egg, protectively. Nibbles gets close by. Nothing seems to fear this thing. Apprentices, silver dragons are not necessarily born in the way you might expect. They arrive. Shirka says, "Silver dragons choose places of promise, which means it chose you." With that, currently, in its egg form, you have not gained an ally, but you have gained a relic, and you now have a silver dragon egg. Its current temperament seems to be curious and gentle. The passive effects you get by having this egg in your possession is creatures that are aligned with good trust you faster than others. Cold and the wind reacts favorably in your magic, and noble beings sense something special about you. And because of this discovery, you earn another 2 Echoes of Fate. The egg glows softly beside the camp with you, calm, curious, and listening. Wind moves through the grass, and then footsteps. Not rushing and not sneaking, just approaching openly down the road. Solomon lifts his head and Steve's ears tilt forward. What you see is a traveler crests the nearby rise. Well-dressed, too well-dressed for the wilderness, with a long coat, polished boots, and gloves, and eyes that go immediately to the egg. They stop, smile, and slowly remove their hat and say, "Ah, so it is true." They bow at you politely. "Good morning, distinguished travelers." Their tone is very pleasant. Their aura is not. Shirka stares at them. "Apprentices, this person did not stumble onto you. They tracked you or that egg." The stranger gestures toward the egg and says, "I believe you are in possession of something rare, something delicate, and something expensive, and I would like to buy it from you. Name your price. Would it be gold, artifacts, secrets, protection, or favors?" Shirka says to you, "Don't agree to anything yet." And with that, you have options. 4 quadrillion doll hairs. You could refuse this person immediately. You could ask who they are. You could ask why they want it. You could let Steve step forward since he seems to be the one most interested in all of this. Or you could walk away. Cast your will. Let Steve step forward. That seems to be the choice. Well, well, well. Putting your donkey companion back. All right. Apprentices, you do not answer. Instead, Steve steps forward. Not rushed or hesitant. Deliberate. The stranger watches him approach him, smiling, polite, and confident, until Steve stops 3 paces away. Silence takes over the entire caravan. The wind stops. Everything becomes truly silent. The man's smile falters, not visibly, but energetically, and you see the stranger's shadow itself on the ground begins to tremble. Steve lifts his head, not necessarily like a donkey, but like a king acknowledging a rival court. The stranger's pupils narrow instantly, vertically, predatorily, and afraid. He whispers before he can stop himself. No. Shirka's eyes widen. Apprentices, something ancient. This gentleman just recognized something older and scarier than it in the eyes of your donkey. The air pressure around the stranger tightens. His coat rustles, not from the wind, from something inside of him shifting. "You," he says slowly, "not to you, but to Steve. You should not be here." Steve blinks once, calm, unbothered, and then the stranger's polite tone returns to him, but you can hear the strain. It's thin and fragile now, and he says, how interesting. You travel with insurance. He straightens up, trying to regain his composure, but his entire confidence is gone. From what you could tell, this stranger has no idea what Steve is, but what he knows is Steve is older and stronger than him and is not prey. Shirka, you hear, crack a little laugh and says, "That was wise." The stranger sighs, pats himself, and says, Very well, negotiation is no longer efficient." The air around him ripples. For a split second, you see something behind his shape. Too many limbs, wrong angles, depth where there should not be. And then it's gone. "We'll meet again," he says pleasantly, "when you are less protected." He steps backward. Reality folds. He is gone. Not vanished, withdrawn. The wind resumes. The birds begin to return back to their tree line, and it's almost as if the entire world exhales from holding its breath. Shirka says, "You opened a door and something came through, and now we're getting all this crazy." Now, this gentleman, this collector, says he's going to be returning, and he wants the new silver dragon's egg from you. But because you handled things so well, by having Steve step forward, you gain an Echo of Fate, placing you at 8 in total. Apprentices, something powerful just decided you are not easy prey. And now that the threat has withdrawn itself, and you still have the egg, the road waits. And with it, you have a few options before you press forward, I suppose. Or you can press forward. First, you could question Shirka, find out what Shirka knows. You can study the egg some more. You can actually stay and batten down defenses even more on this road out in the wilderness. You could leave immediately, or demand Steve shows you his true form. Cast your will. Immediately demanding information from Steve. Also questioning Shirka as a thought, or just to leave and get away from here. But quickly, apprentices, you want to know more from Steve. What happened? Ooh, a tie. Well. What do we do about this tie? Split between leaving immediately and demanding answers from Steve. I can place the poll back, and we can run this again. But before I do, I suggest y'all converse just a little to determine which is the best approach, and maybe y'all come to a consensus without me having to run the poll. I'm obsessed with Steve. That is all. Who wanted to leave immediately? Do you wish to continue that, or do you want talks to find out more about Steve? Just us and our friend Steve. Alright, I will place the poll back up to see what we can discover. Steve's just a normal donkey, for sure. Cast your will. Yeah, demanding means you face Steve and go, "You're gonna tell me exactly what happened right here and right now. Like, I demand you tell me." That's what you're doing. Alright, leaving now. To get out of Dodge. Alright, well with that, the caravan itself does not linger. The grass closes it behind you, the wind erases your tracks, the wilderness watches you go. And something unseen watches where you're going. Solomon walks beside the wagon like a moving fortress. Steve plots calmly as if nothing concerned him at all, and none of it happened. The silver egg rests safely inside the wagon, next to some blankets glowing faintly. Shirka never looks behind her. But after a while, Shirka says, "Good. Wise travelers know when they've been noticed enough for the day." The caravan spends a day travel. The roads bend, the hills part, and civilization begins to reveal itself. Ahead sits a little town nestled beside a river bend. It's not large, and it's not small, but it is an older, established little town. Your first impressions when you see it is that there are stone walls with weathered towers and moss growing on all of it. Banners hang from the gate, and you notice immediately that the guards are not watching the road. They're watching you. Apprentices, word travels faster than wagons. 2 guards step forward, not hostile but alert, and one raises a hand politely and says, "Travelers, state your business." His eyes flick briefly to Solomon, the giant old crocodile, Steve, the wagons, and the faint glow beneath the blankets. He's definitely noticed something. The banner above the gate reads Grey Haven. Shirka says, "Of course it is." Grey Haven is a old trading town. It's also kind of a rumor hub. Because of the effects that you have happening, the guards instinctively feel that you are important, you are dangerous, and you are not normal travelers, but they cannot explain why. So, apprentices, the gates of Grey Haven await. How should we present ourselves to them? Do you wish to let them know that you are, let's say, honest travelers, just trying to get through? That you're important figures that should be listened to? That you're quiet little merchants? You could also let Shirka speak on your behalf. Or, since you've been so willing to let it happen, you can see what Steve could do if he walks forward. Cast your will. Honest travelers. Okay. Sure, guards can't smell trouble, but if they could, you'd smell like a festival. Quiet merchants is an option. Okay. Don't forget first impressions or spells that last a long time. And try not to accidentally start a religion while you're here. Indecision of what to tell them. Right. Not a good first impression, right? The guards wait for you. You say nothing. Yeah, you're a caravan, you have a little bit of stuff. But since you say nothing, no excuses, no titles, no lies, just silence. The two guards look at each other and they're not confused, they're not annoyed, but they're concerned. The older one of the two studies you and goes, "Right, you're those travelers." Apprentices' silence is rarely empty. Sometimes it answers more loudly than words. The guards step aside, respectfully. One of them gives a short nod and says, "Grey Haven welcomes you. Please try not to break anything important." As he says that, Shirka goes, "No promises." Because you said nothing and couldn't decide, the guards assume you're powerful, important figures, that you're dangerous and you're not to be questioned. No one stops you, no one searches you, and no one inspects the wagon. Silence has ranked you higher than authority would have. Good job. With the gates open fully, the town inside is alive. Market noise, forge hammers, distant music, murmured rumors. And as you pass through, conversations stop. Not all of them, but just ones near you. People feel something. They don't know what, but they feel it. Solomon's claws click softly on stone. Steve walks like he owns the place, and the egg continues to glow faintly beneath the cloth. Shirka says to you quietly, "Well done. Mystery's always more important and impressive than explanations." Right now, the town currently is cautiously respectful to you, so speak carefully. They assume you're influential, and they are going to avoid insulting you up front. From across the street, a cloaked figure watches you, observing you and evaluating. Whenever they notice that you have noticed them, they turn and slip into an alley. Now that you're in town, you have a few options. Everyone loves going into town in D&D because that allows you to find what? Oh, that's right, an inn or a tavern. It also lets you follow a cloaked figure if you so choose. You could also visit a market, or you can ask Shirka, who seems to know the place, where to go. The other option, which I will put even an asterisk to let you know that I wouldn't choose this, little adventurers, because it could go poorly, is you let the town approach you. Cast your will. And with danger of letting the town approach you could be greater rewards. Could be. Could just be more dangerous. Danger is afoot. Letting the town approach you seems to be the choice. Well. So you stand there, unsure where to go, and you're waiting for the town to speak to you. Where does it go? And what better way to see how things go than by letting fate decide? These have been going so well for you today. This would be a terrible time to roll low, wouldn't it? We have stopped fate. A 2. Fear not, welcome back. We've let fate decide. You entered the town and decided to let the town speak to you. Even after I warned that would be the dangerous choice that an archmage like myself would not choose. And we have rolled fate, deciding terrible things. Alright, here we are. Ooh. Well, by waiting for the city to notice you, it did. And it decided it doesn't like what it sees. While you stand on the street, waiting, watching, letting Greyhaven decide what to do to you, it does something, but not what you would expect. Nibbles, twitches, not playful or curious, but alarmed. They chitter sharply and dive deep into the wagon. Solomon lifts his head, and Steve stops walking, and Shirka goes still and says, "Oh no." The shadows nearby stretch. Not from the sun itself, not from movement, but from presence. A cold pressure slides across the street. No one else reacts. No townsfolk, no guard, only you. The symbol in your shadow burns faintly. Something is near that recognizes it. Shirka whispers to you urgently, "It followed us." Not on you, not on the caravan, but it attacks. It attacks inside the wagon, where Nibbles is. A shriek can be heard from inside of the caravan. Tiny, terrified shrieks from your mimic. The wagon jerks left and right. Something unseen lunges inside. Wood splinters everywhere. Cloth tears. Nibbles screams. Apprentices, something has decided. Your smallest companion is the easiest target. What you see inside the wagon, a shape made of folded shadow, like a creature cut from darkness itself. Claws made of absence, eyes like holes in the world, is dragging Nibbles into its own shadow. Act now. Your options become: you can grab Nibble quickly. You could command Solomon to strike. You could attempt to see and let Steve intervene. Maybe he could intervene just as he did last time and stop the poor mimic from being hurt. Cast your will. Commanding Solomon to strike. Ooh. Grabbing Nibbles is taking a lead. And with that, you grab toward Nibbles. You hear Shirka scream, "Solomon!" Solomon lunges toward the creature like a living avalanche, and his jaws slam into the shadowy thing. Reality itself begins to buckle, and in that instant, y'all grab toward Nibbles, fingers clutched onto the creature, the mimic. The stickiness of the mimic holds that, and you begin to pull, and then the shadow, even being attacked, pulls more and more. But after such a huge entanglement, you manage to pull free, and you hear screaming and a rip. You fall backwards. Nibbles tumbles into your arms. Silence. As you pull, Nibbles begins to flatten. Silence fills the street. No one else saw this. No one else heard. But you look down. Nibbles rests in your hands still. He's not trembling anymore. He's not chirping, not hiding. He's not pretending to be a coin pouch. Just still. Shirka kneels slowly. She doesn't rush. She doesn't panic. She looks. Then she stops one of the apprentices as they attempt to cast magic on the little creature and says softly, "He's gone." The creature didn't take his body. It took the thing that makes the mimic live. Solomon lowers his head. Steve doesn't move. Even the wind seems to step back. Apprentices, not every battle is lost in noise. Some are lost in a single heartbeat. A faint glow comes from under the cloth. The dragon egg begins to surge with energy and then goes extremely dim. The egg is mourning a loss. Something far away smiles. Shirka, who's quiet and honest, says to you, "You were warned. The things beyond doors don't play fair." She gently closes Nibble's little chest in their tiny form, and with that, you lost an ally. Nibbles is gone. The shadow, the entities, know your scent, know where you are, and have now tasted your fear, and the world recognizes you as prey worth hunting. Your caravan is also in extremely poor morale. Creatures of darkness will now test you and treat you as rivals, and because of the loss, 2 echoes of fate are lost with him, back to 5. The street is quiet. The town watches from afar. No one approaches you now. They don't know what happened, but they know something did. Shirka says, "We need to move. Now it's time to make a decision, apprentices. What do you do? Do you bury Nibbles? Do you leave a town immediately? Do you hunt what killed your ally? or do you say nothing and continue? Heartless. Stone heart. Cast your will. A split so far. To bury Nibbles or to leave town. Burying Nibbles. Respect your ally. And now to bury Nibbles. The city guards watch you, not closely, but not necessarily openly, but enough. None of the apprentices, none of you, argue. You don't give into rage. You don't chase revenge. You go near the town square where the most money is given and taken for trade, and you dig. The soil there is soft, as if it understands. No shovel, no magic, just your hands. Solomon stands guard. Steve does not move, and Shirka says nothing. The hole is small, smaller than any grave ever should be. You bid farewell to Nibbles. Nibbles rests in your hands, still, quiet, but not pretending, not hiding. Shirka kneels for once. She has no clever remark. She gently places Nibbles into the earth and says, "Small things are often the bravest." The silver egg glows faintly. Apprentices, today the world learned you can bleed, and you learned the world can take. As you cover the grave, the dirt settles. Not loosely, firmly. You assume Shirka had something to do with that, with her magics. And for just a moment, a tiny illusion flickers above the soil. A small chest. Shirka exhales softly and says, "They liked you." And with that, a permanent mark has been made upon this world. In the center of Grey Haven's market, there is now the grave of Nibbles, and it has effects where shadow creatures avoid that ground. Sensitive beings can feel what happened here, and that this day, this place may matter again someday. You also gain a one-time use boon called the Memory Kept. Once in the future, when defeat would occur and you would lose, you may stand up instead, one single time. After that, the wind passes gently over the grave, and Shirka says, "We shouldn't stay long. That thing may return with friends." Shirka leads you to the inn in town so that the rest of the caravanners can begin repairing the damage done to the caravan. And as y'all enter inside of this inn, Shirka waits for everyone to enter, including the donkey and the crocodile. And Shirka says, "All right, it's time for you to tell us what's going on." And she's speaking to the donkey. So now it's time to find out what's going on with Steve. I didn't expect this to happen. I figured the warnings would do it. The dice tells the story. Steve doesn't say anything or moves. And then Shirka begins to change her tone. It's not kind, it's not playful, and it's not gentle. She says, "Enough. They bled for this road. Speak." Several of the folks in this inn try their absolute best to ignore everything going on, and for a moment Steve doesn't move. Then slowly, Steve exhales. Not a donkey sound, something older and deeper. You hear him say, "I had hoped that this age would not require me." The voice is not a donkey's voice. Every candle in the room flares with power and light. Light actually gathers around him, not blinding, but reverent. His form begins to change gracefully, like memory remembering true shape. Gold light dissolves, and where he stood now stands a tall figure, radiant, beautiful, terrible. A man stands before you, elven in form, armor like dawnlight, hair in the shades of sunrise, and his eyes blaze gold like twin suns. The air itself hums with restrained power, not threatening, but contained. Clad in full plate, with a shield and a sword and a scabbard, several patrons that were standing drop to their knees, not knowing why. One begins crying. Another person laughs nervously. Shirka bows her head slightly, as if she would an equal. "Apprentices," she says quietly, "meet the one who's been pulling your cart." The elf says, "I am called many things, but for convenience sake we will continue with Steve. I am an ancient of the dawn, keeper of the first accord, witness of the first age. His gaze looks over at you apprentices, and he says, I chose the shape of a donkey because no one fears a beast of burden. His eyes, those twin suns, dim ever so slightly. Not weaker, but you can tell he's grieving. But peace is a luxury, and something beyond the world has taken one of ours. So now, I must stop pretending that I am small. Apprentices, your donkey has never been a donkey. Everyone in the inn feels it now. Not weight, but gravity. Like standing near a mountain that could wake up. Steve looks toward the door, toward the direction the shadow creature fled. His voice lowers. Something has crossed into this age that should not exist. He kneels slightly. I will not let it take another. You see when he says that the gold light in his eyes burns brighter. You now have an active guardian of the caravan, Steve, the paladin. He's a paladin, but I can fix him. Powerful beings sense him. Enemies will fear provoking you, and ancient forces now take absolute interest. The stakes of your story have doubled. Well, Shirkla says to you, that escalated. Steve stands. Is there anything you would ask of him? You have a few options. You could ask him what the creature was, why he was hiding, if he could bring Nibbles back. Cast your will. The question is if they could bring Nibbles back. After you ask if he could bring Nibbles back, the inn itself gets quiet. Not curious silence, but waiting. Steve does not answer immediately. He looks at you like someone who's been asked that question before, too many times. The gold light in his eyes dim, not weaker, but with sadness. And he says, yes, and hope sparks within all of you, but not without cost. And just like that, hope falters again. Death, Steve says, is not a door, it is a debt. He looks toward the window, toward the road, and toward the center of town where Nibbles is buried. Something took him, which means something owns what remains. Apprentice's resurrection, contrary to divine belief, is not healing. It is a negotiation, and it is why we do not practice it. If I restore him now, Steve says ever so softly, I would be stealing him back, and the thing that claimed him would notice immediately, and it would come. And if it comes, it could endanger the lives of everyone in this town. So I cannot return him today, but I can keep the path open. He lifts his hand, golden light gathers, gentle, warm light. If you grow stronger, if you learn more, if you find where he was taken, the light in his hand pulses once, then I can help you bring him home. Small souls, he says so quietly, are often the bravest, and bravery should not end in silence. He places his glowing hand over his chest. When the day comes, I will stand beside you. And with that, an oath was made. When pursuing the quest to reclaim Nibbles, you will gain advantage on all rolls related to that specific goal. The light fades. Steve stands, still radiant, still terrible, and still gentle. Until then, he says, we prepare. And with that, apprentices, we need to prepare our caravan. We have some options, and you have 5 echoes to use. I will give you the first item, and I'll see before we even go for the others if this is particularly the item you want to build. The option I feel that y'all would most likely choose is the Memorial of Nibbles. It costs 3 of your 5 echoes. It has a passive bonus that shadow creatures hesitate near it, that allies gain courage when defending others, that once per session you may re-roll a single check if it's made in a life or death situation, and spirits and ancient beings recognize your loyalty to your allies. Would anyone like to see other options or build that? Like to build that. Okay, so you consume 3 echoes of fate, and an ancient stone appears near your caravan, floating, and the stone itself crumbles into dust and switches shapes every so often. in honor of the mimic that you lost. Steve says, after you build the memorial, softly, memory is the strongest magic mortals possess. So, apprentices, next time we meet, we'll see what the world has in store for you. Wahoo!